How to reprogram your reality's algorithm to achieve your definition of success. Let me guess, you're working hard, you're grinding, you're hustling, whether it be in your career, in your business, or even in trading. But for some reason, you haven't been able to see the results and hit the goals that you've set for yourself. You feel like you're continuously trying harder and harder, but the goal seems like it's running even further away from you. Now, what if I told you that the reason for this is because you've programmed your reality's algorithm for failure? And if you do not change this algorithm, you will consistently keep repeating these patterns and cycles of failure and self-sabotage until you rewrite it. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys the exact step-by-step method on how to rewrite your reality's algorithm so you can achieve your level of success. This is you guys. This is what I want you guys to look like. Now, why should you listen to me? Fair question. Over the last 2 years, I've spent and dedicated my time to research metaphysics, universal law, spiritual science, and neuroscience, and I've found a lot of interesting things out along the way. So my whole goal with this channel and my Instagram page, my brand in general, on my online presence, is to teach you guys how you can use these teachings, this knowledge in your life to get to your goals with less effort. So what I want you guys to do for me is get a piece of paper, get a pen, take some notes, leave them in the comments. It helps everyone understand it a bit more, but let's do it. Okay, so I'm gonna be doing this video a little bit differently from the last ones. If you're new to this page, then this isn't gonna mean anything different to you, but if you aren't, I'm gonna be doing it raw. Pause. But anyway, what we are going to do is just break it down with you guys in real time. What? No way. Okay. So, in order to program your reality's algorithm in a way that's going to benefit you, we need to understand what actually programs it, what controls this algorithm. And that is your frequency, right? And your frequency is nothing more. Why did I do that arrow there? Your frequency is nothing more than the state that you are consistently embodying on a daily or moment-to-moment basis. It can be conceptualized as sense of self, self-concept, identity, frequency, or state in general, right? It is nothing more than the state that you are consistently occupying moment to moment. Think of it, your state, as a signal, right? And this signal then gets sent out to the algorithm and the reality in of itself and the universe to then bring you back whatever you are embodying. So what I find with a lot of people, and I can even tell you a personal story about myself, is we're taking all the right physical action, right? We're taking all the right physical action. But the problem is this: you can take action, but it does not directly lead to success. Action does not directly lead to success, because if that was true, the people who work 12 or 16-hour days in factories would all be billionaires, right? That's not the truth. And the reason for that being, I missed an S there. Anyway, the reason for that being is the things that actually make up your results, let's say, is yes, the physical action. So you have the physical action, and I'm going to break down the 3 planes of existence, because we are not just 3D beings, right? We are not just 3D beings. So physical, 3D. That's one aspect. Mental, 4D. And spiritual, 5D. Okay, so we as human beings, as beings on this earth, are spiritual beings, right? We all know this. We have a soul and we also have a brain. With that being said, we can think thoughts and feel with our heart. So with that being said, we actually live across all these. The problem with a lot of individuals is they only prioritize the physical plane of existence, the 3D plane of existence. And because of this, they do not see the results that they wish to see, right? Now, yes, there are some people that can find success in this area without understanding any of this, okay? But I would argue that they have a high level of conviction, which I'll touch on what conviction is later, but a high level of conviction plus positive emotions and beliefs that serve them, right? So they may not have known it, but kind of by accident, it worked out for them, right? So with that being said, let's say you haven't hit the results that you want to within your business, within your career, within any area of life. And you're sat there wondering why. Like there's people out there who are doing that, who are achieving success, and it's almost like they're not working as hard as I am. They're effortlessly working, they're passionately working. This is why. Because action is not the sole predictor of success. Although it is a big contributor, it is not the sole predictor, right? So think of the physical action that you take as simply the expression of your mental and spiritual states. So if you have a poor mental state and a poor spiritual state, you are going to take poor action. Simply put, right? So what I'm trying to get at with all this is your frequency is ultimately the states that you are embodying, and then the physical action gets taken out. So you are programming your reality for failure if you are not in the right state. And the example that I was going to give you is, what's a personal example? I remember, what's another one? I was going to say school, but bugger that. Sports, right? Let's say sports. There was a time in my life when I wanted to achieve a level of success within a sport. So what I did was I trained really hard, and I always trained every day. I would do it in the morning, before school. I would do it after school. I was training like a madman, right? And I was getting better. Don't get me wrong. My touch was getting better. My shooting was getting better. All this stuff. Anyway, I'm not going to go into all the details, but you get the point. Physically, I was taking the right action and I was getting better. With that being said, every time that it came to match day, I didn't have the right beliefs and self-conviction, and therefore I played like shit and didn't see the reality that I wished to see, which was success, which was being in the first team, being poached, being drafted to a different team, whatever the case may be, right? You get the point. So with that being said, that ultimately predicted me not living my definition of success. Okay? And that's important to understand because you can take all the physical action, but be in the wrong frequency and therefore program your reality for failure. So if you're taking the right action, but you're in a frequency of lack, of scarcity, of broke, you're never going to see the reality that you wish to see, which is success, abundance, love, whatever it may be, extrapolated to your definition of success, right? So yeah, that's why frequency is important. It's nothing more than the state, and that state is signaling to the universe what it is that you want. Now, you're going to be like, okay, that's great. I understand that. But what is frequency? Like, how do you even change your frequency? That's what you're going to find out right now. So, frequency is generally compromised of a fair few things, but we will break it down to the 5 main things. And these 5 main things ultimately build up your frequency. Okay, so the first part, right, there's 5 parts that make up frequency. The first part that I want to take you guys through is something okay, there you go, I fixed it. Perception. The first part that I want to take you guys through is perception. Now, perception can also be conceptualized as perspective, right? Perception or perspective, whatever tickles your fancy, whatever makes you understand it a little bit more, okay? So perception is nothing more than the way that we see things, right? The way that we see things. How do you see life? How do you see business? How do you see money? How do you see your job? How do you see the people that are at your job? How do you see the economy? How do you see the market? Here's a funny thing. So a lot of people ultimately want to achieve success, but they see things, I'm going to point it over here, they see things in a way that do not serve them. They'll say things like, the market is shit. The economy is down, etc. You get the point. The market's shit, the economy is down, this person's annoying, this person's a shithead, whatever the case may be. They're going to see things in a way that don't actually serve them and therefore experience a reality that doesn't serve them either. Because at the end of the day, right, if your perception is a factor that makes up your frequency, because the way that you see things are the way that they see you, then ultimately I would ask you, how would you want to be seen? If you were the universe, right? And you were granting everyone's wishes, because that's all it is. We're all giving our wishes away every single day, but we don't realize it. How would you see things? Why would you give, you know what I mean? Like it's a funny concept when you first hear it for the first time. But ultimately, the way that you see things is the way that they see you. So I would ask you, Why see things in a way that doesn't serve you? Why see things in a way that doesn't serve you? Because it's funny, a lot of us actually do this time and time again. We see things as hard. We see business as hard. We see money as hard to come by. We see the economy is down. We see the market is shit. And then we're like, oh, nothing's working for me. Well, why don't we just change the way that we see things? Because if you can choose to see things as shit for no reason, then you can choose to see things as great for no reason. The truth of reality, right? The truth of reality, I'm going to write it down here. The realists are always right. Right? If the realists are always right, then the optimists always win. Someone who always sees something in their own benefit will win. Always. So why would you want to see things as real and just in order to be right if it is going to limit you in your reality? Because that's delusion. That is self-sabotage at some level. But yeah, that's perception. Just know that the way that you see things is the way that they see you, simply put. So let's get in to the next part. Oops. I was going to say, why was that rubbing out? Four more to go. I'm like proper craving a coffee right now. I want to know, like, put in the chat, anyone who's watching this and who likes coffee, right? Do you like coffee because the way it makes you feel? As in like energy perspective? Or do you like coffee because the way it tastes? Because personally, I'm a taste guy, right? Like, I just like the way that it tastes. Energetically speaking, I'm always full of energy. I don't really need a artificial energy source. But yeah, let me know in the comments. I want to know people's perspective on that. So we just touched on perception as a component of frequency. What's the next one that I want to do? Ties in well with what we just spoke about. Focus, right? Where your focus goes, energy flows. And where your energy goes, life follows. I love that. I love the rhyme. Anyway, not the point. Focus ultimately determines where your attention is going. That's the definition of focus, right? If the definition of focus is where your attention is going, then the question is, where are you placing your attention? Where are you placing your attention? So if perspectives and perception is ultimately you see things as bad, where are you constantly focusing on seeing things as bad? That's my question to you. Because ultimately, if you're so focused on the market being shit, or the economy being down, or this person annoying you at work, or your boss not giving you a raise, or whatever the case may be, you are constantly focusing on it so much so to the point that you're giving all of your energy to it, right? Because what's more important than intention is attention, right? You can intend to want to be the best at work. You can intend to want to have the quickest growing business. You can intend to want to, find success in finances or business or whatever. But everyone has goals. Everyone wants to be successful. You aren't the only one. I'm going to be real with you. You're not the only one. And I'm talking to myself when I say this too, right? Everyone wants to be successful. Everyone wants to hit a goal. Everyone has a goal that they're aiming for. So intention alone isn't enough. That's just your conscious mind making goals, right? Attention, where you put your energy, is more important. Because I know people that want the world's best, but they put all of their attention on lack, on worry, on scarcity, on this person annoying them, on this thing not going for them, on that opportunity falling through. When in reality, they focused on the negatives prior to that opportunity falling through that actually brought about that in the first place. That's another side note. But anyway, you get the point. Where your focus goes, your energy ultimately flows, right? Where your focus goes, your energy flows. So where are you placing your focus? Where are you placing your attention? Are you putting them in places that don't serve you? Are you putting them in places that do serve you? And this is important because your perception, the way that you see things, plus intense emotional focus is what creates beliefs. And your beliefs are either serving you or hindering you. And I'm going to touch on that a little bit deeper, so just chill out. But you get the point. You get the point. Where your focus goes, energy flows. Okay? So, what I want you guys to do is stop focusing on the negatives. And it really is as simple as that. Every single time your brain, and listen, as human beings, we are hardwired to fixate on negative. That's like our default setting. And maybe it's because, once upon a time, we used to have to make sure that we weren't going to get eaten out in the jungle. So we had like a survival state, a constant mode of survival, right? But we're not in a state of survival anymore, at least most of us, right? We are in a state of desiring to thrive. But you cannot thrive when you are trying to survive. Simply put, okay? So remove the focus from negatives, and that alone will take you from this survival state into the thriving state. And you cannot thrive, externally speaking, if you are not thriving internally speaking. Okay, that's focus done. Focus is a big one though, because I can even speak, once again, from my own personal experiences. There were times when I wanted to succeed so bad. There were times when, I was, like I said, I was doing all the physical effort. I was taking all the physical effort. I was being the highest version of myself. And then still what was happening was I was focusing on all the negatives. I would be like, oh my days, this person did this to me. Oh my days, this thing's not working for me. Oh my days, what's going on here? Or, when I started business, the market's saturated. What a wholly limiting belief, can I just say? Wholly limiting belief. And that's something that I want everyone to understand watching this video, is that your life is compromised of what you believe to be true. And a lot of us believe things that don't actually serve us and then wonder why we're not seeing the results that we want to see. Within our life, within our business, within our relationships, within our career, within our financial career, whatever, right? So perception and focus were the two things we just discussed. The third thing out of 5 that I would like to discuss is, what should we do? We'll do this one. It's so different just going off the top of your head. I kind of like it. You guys actually have to give me feedback. Can someone please comment and message if you prefer this type of video or the last type of video? The last type of video was all pre-written and then I was running through it. I don't know, there's just something calming about this. It's just straight off the top of my head. Anyway, not the point. Did we already touch on it? No, we didn't. Sorry. I'm tripping. Anyway, emotions, right? We all know what emotions are. We can list them off the top of our head. Anger, happiness, fear, all that stuff. Great. Emotions are actually something a lot more than what we think they are. Emotion stands for energy in motion. Energy in motion. This is important to understand because energy in motion is the language of the subconscious mind. I've done a little SC. Subconscious meaning deeper part of your mind. We are always operating from the conscious mind. We have there's 4 or 5 main brain waves, and I'm not going to go too deep because it's going to confuse you since I don't have a diagram here. But anyway, we ultimately operate from 2 minds. There's 2 minds within our brain. The first one being the conscious mind. Within the conscious mind, it's in control of willpower, short-term memory, and kind of just logical thinking, right? Your subconscious mind is in control of your habits, your long-term memory, your emotions, your sense of self, your feelings, all of that. So in reality, if you want to change your universe, your reality, the things that you are experiencing within your life, if you want to build your dream life, What you need to do, right, is have emotions that positively serve thoughts, which become beliefs, which serve you. Right? So the reason that that's important, and the reason emotion is so important, is because it is the language of the subconscious mind. You have to think of the subconscious mind like a soldier. As soon as it hears an order, it goes, yes, sir, or yes, ma'am. And it goes, how am I going to fulfill it? And actively, what it starts doing is programming your reality. It starts filtering out evidence within your reality, within your life, to then build upon the belief and then build your conviction, which I'm about to touch on. Take it easy, right? So it's important to understand, because what happens is that our emotions create beliefs. But what's more important is our thoughts plus emotions create our beliefs. Okay? Thoughts plus emotions create your beliefs. You could have a thought, and an example of this could be business. We'll say business is hard. Business equals hard, right? And then you add on to that stress. You add on to that worry. You add on to that anger. You have now just created a belief that business is frickin' hard. Make sense? That's how a belief forms. And I'm going to touch on beliefs and why beliefs are important. They're my next two. So far we've covered perception, focus, and emotion, right? This is emotion, simply put. Emotion is nothing more than energy in motion. It directly speaks to your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is in control of your reality. Whatever is impressed within your subconscious mind, internally speaking, will be expressed externally speaking. There is a direct correlation between your subconscious mind and the reality that you experience externally. Because nothing more is true than whatever you believe to be true. Everything in this life is half-truths. Isn't it funny how you could go travel somewhere, right? Travel to a different country. I went to Europe not too long ago. But what I found was that they had different beliefs around health, around life, around living, and then they lived differently because of that. Very different to where I'm from, may I say. And because of that, what I found was that your beliefs directly control the life that you experience. But that is compromised of your emotions. Okay? So, let me move right into beliefs, since I've just talked on that heavily. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm actually opening up a couple one-on-one slots for people who would like to work with me, potentially break through some mental limitations, some mental blocks of some form. If you are stuck in life, whether that be within business, within work, etc., and you feel like you're working your hardest, you're being the highest version of you, but nothing's clicking, then come and message me, DM me on Instagram, and we'll sort something out. But anyway, let's hop on to the next one. Okay, we may or may not have had a coffee break in between, but anyway, let's get back into it. So, the last thing I touched on was emotion. So we've covered perception, focus, and emotion. What else creates your frequency, which ultimately predicts the reality that you then experience? Well, the next thing that I would like to touch on, going off the back end of our last one, is belief. Beliefs. Ultimately, beliefs are nothing more than a thought plus an emotional charge. Now, the funny thing is, people can rewire themselves in one of two ways, which is they have a very, very traumatic or very rewarding experience, right? Which channels enough and a very high/strong emotional charge linked with a thought, which creates a belief that is just so strong within their internal state. Now, an example I can give you is, let's say that you went through something traumatic as a child. It only took one event to then wire your brain to believe that that is true, full stop. To then see things a certain way, to let it affect you for the rest of your life, right? childhood programming. Or for example, if you had one win, one event, one moment within your life that made you feel so confident, so free, so worthy of anything, that is quite a rewarding experience. And that will then go on to eventually predict how you show up within your day-to-day life, right? So your beliefs are nothing more than thoughts plus emotional charge. Emotional charge, right? And the reason that this is important to understand is that we know that emotion is energy in motion being the strongest language to your subconscious mind. What I find is that what people don't understand is they are taking the right action, but what happens is they have beliefs that don't serve them. Beliefs that don't serve. And beliefs that don't serve you could be like, business is hard. Money is hard to come by. Good things don't happen to me. People like me don't succeed. Only 1% of people make it, so why should I even try? Those things are the type of shit that I'm talking about. Beliefs that aren't going to serve you. Now, there is no such thing as a neutral belief. Right? Neutral is not a thing when it comes to beliefs. So completely scrap that out of your mind. There's no such thing as neutral. When it comes to beliefs, ultimately what we need to understand is that it is either serving you and getting you towards your goals, or it is controlling you and keeping you stuck in a state or reality that you do not wish to see. Now, of course, all of us want to have beliefs that are serving us, because if you have beliefs that are serving you, then your reality is going to bring about a result that you wish to see. Now, an example I could give you of this. Who's a good example? Drake. For anyone who listens to Drake, great, right? You may have heard within his songs, he's done one thing which I will contribute to his mass success as a rapper, artist, etc. He, from the very start of his career, I was actually listening to a couple of his earlier songs, rapped, acted, and believed that he was the best. Lemon Pepper Freestyle, if anyone knows, he says, I never let negative thoughts enter my inner matrix. I used to say I had it before I got it, now I got it all, right? That type of shit, if you know, you know. So what I'm trying to say is ultimately your beliefs are the biggest predictor of your ability to succeed within your reality. And we can extrapolate that to some of the GOATs within whatever field of life they may be in. And they always had a belief that served them, but more importantly, they had a belief that they were the best. They had a belief that they were the best right from the start. There is, old interviews of people that played with Ronaldo when he was a kid, and they said he would always say to us in training and everything, I'm going to be the best player in the world. I'm going to be the best player in the world. That is a belief. And all a belief is convincing yourself of something to be true before it is externally present. And this is important because a lot of people go around saying shit like, you need to stop make believing, right? You need to stop make believing. But what if I told you that you need to flip that on its head? It's not make-believe, it's belief makes. Whatever you are consistently believing to be true is what will be externally present within your reality. A lot of people say, I'll believe it when I see it. But for that exact reason, they never see it in their physical reality. They are always chasing their tail. They're always working hard, but never seeing the results that they want. And they think to themselves, I can't be too delusional. I have to be more realistic. But the truth is, you aren't being delusional enough. You aren't believing enough that it is possible. That's the only thing that's keeping you different. What's more important than doing the most to be the best is being the most, thinking you are the most. And then your behavior, your actions, your reality will catch up, right? That's beliefs. So, this will bring me onto our final component of frequency, and thus how to program your reality. Right? And I'm going to tie it all together at the end because I know this might seem a little confusing to you guys. You might be like, well, you've given me a lot of different things, You better be taking notes, by the way. How do I apply all this together? Well, I'll run that for you. Don't you worry. You guys, no stress. One thing I want to make clear, guys, is I am not the manifestation guy. I do not want to be the manifestation guy. I do not want to be the spiritual guy. I am the truth guy. I want to give you guys the truth. I want to make mindset look cool to you guys, because it is. Ultimately, the people who know how to control their self-concept, their mind, their state, the way that they are embodying their life, can go on to achieve anything. Do you understand? You, yes you, the person who is watching this video right now, can go on to achieve whatever the fuck you want in this life. You could be the best athlete, you could be the best businessman, you could be the best entrepreneur, fucking astronaut, whatever you want to be. You can be that if you believe that to be true and genuinely apply that in your life. That's pretty cool when you think about it. You can do anything. You are limitless. You are infinite. That's pretty cool. Okay? That's what my goal here is with this channel, is to get everyone to realize their fullest potential and help them get there. So we've touched on pretty much everything. And the last one, and I would probably say and argue one of the most important ones out of all of these, is conviction. Now, conviction is just, it's a sexy word, isn't it? There's something about the word that just makes, it puts me in awe. You know what I mean? Like, it's just cool. I don't know. Anyway, conviction is nothing more than confidence, but also known as self-trust, or trust in general, right? That's ultimately what conviction stands for. Conviction meaning nothing more than confidence and self-trust. The problem that I see with a lot of people is they are taking the physical action, they're doing the most, but they ain't being the most because they don't believe that they are, right? They don't believe that they are. And for that reason, your reality will only give back to you what you believe to be true and the way that you see yourself. If you see yourself as unsuccessful, your reality will make it so. If you see yourself as successful, your reality will make it so, right? So ultimately, if conviction is the prerequisite to manifestation, materialization, whatever you want to call it, right? And I want to make that clear. Manifestation, I might say that a couple times here and there. I ain't the manifestation guru, right? I am someone who helps you guys materialize what it is that you want, your desired reality, bring it into fruition from mind, intangible, to tangible, external, physical reality. Now, definition of manifestation is not to, I'm going to sit here, sing Kumbaya, put my legs crossed, meditate, and it's gonna fall in my lap. It don't work like that. I'm sorry to say, it don't work like that. You need to take physical action, right? Manifestation is nothing more than simply observing and embodying an internal state of already having what it is that you want. Because when you have it internally, you're not gonna need it externally. A lot of people are chasing success so much that they need it, but in needing it, you're ultimately telling the universe that you do not have it, right? That's what manifestation is. Internally embodying it so much so to the point where you don't actually need it. Then it comes to you. It's kind of ironic. But anyway, conviction is confidence, self-trust. Another way to see it is like a fuel, right? So let's say that this is the tank, right? And our battery, we'll say battery. A lot of people are trying to achieve success with being half full, half charged, not fully there, not fully trusting themselves. And the question that I want to ask you guys is, if you don't trust yourself, why do you expect the universe to trust you? Why do you expect people to trust you? Why do you expect life to trust you? Before you can master anything, before you can see success in everything, you need to have success over yourself. And that means having enough self-trust and conviction, which is ultimately fuel, okay? So the more fuel you have in your tank, the further you will go on this journey of success. How do you build fuel? How do you build conviction? Really easy. It's really easy. Keep your promises to yourself. That's how you build conviction. A lot of the times, we are saying the most and doing the least. But the opposite is what creates the most successful individuals. Dave Santan, for those of you who know him, what was that line in one of his songs that went? I've been saying the least and doing the most, some shit like that. Anyway, you get what I mean. Anyway, the point is that ultimately, the less you say, right? Or just saying in general, when you say something and you do it, you then get a tick, right? Your confidence, your conviction spikes up. But when you say something and you don't do it, what happens is the opposite. You don't get a tick. If anything, you get a negative. Your confidence, your conviction goes down because you were saying that my word means squat. It means nothing, right? So the best way to build conviction is to keep your word true to you. When you say you're going to do something, you do it. And a simple phrase that I've embodied, it's actually on my wallpaper, believe it or not, on my phone. Let's see if I can show you guys this. I don't know if you can see that, but hopefully you can. Establish your word as law. That is a principle that you need to live by. And to be honest, one of the most important ones, at least it's pivotal in my life. It is the one thing that I consistently live by. It's the one thing that I prioritize and I pedestalize, because when you establish your word as law, you take yourself seriously. Now, I don't mean to, take yourself too seriously to the point where everything's, brown and frowning and shit. No, but what I mean is to take yourself serious. Don't take life seriously. Take yourself seriously. Take your word seriously. When you say you're going to do something, you follow through with it. The whole point here, though, is not saying I'm going to run a 25-mile marathon tomorrow and then you put yourself in stupid scenarios for no reason. No, it's about building conviction at a rate which is beknownst to you. You need to find your rate of conviction growth. And for you, it might look like, you know what? I'm just going to wake up, I'm going to have a cold shower, read a couple pages, go to the gym, day done. Why is it that a lot of successful individuals are healthy? They kept promises to themselves, they're fit, externally speaking, and then it almost like bleeds into their business because they have a high level of conviction. You can't expect to be successful across the board if you don't even trust yourself and your own word, because it means shit to no one else. It means shit to everyone else, and it means nothing to the universe. So ultimately, I've touched on everything. I've touched on conviction, I've touched on emotion, belief, focus, perspectives. How do you tie this together? All of these things make up your frequency at the end of the day. All of these things will ultimately make or break the reality that you wish to see externally speaking. So here's a little bonus that I'll give you guys. The way that you can do it, and the way that I prefer to do it, is before you start your day, before you get the wheels moving, before you start taking physical action, before you start communicating with people and putting yourself in scenarios that can affect you and make you react to things, get in the state that you wish to desire first thing in the morning, right? And you know what? You might find that you can do it in the middle of the day. You might find that you benefit from it at night before you go to bed, whatever. But I'm just saying, of personal experience, when you get in that right state first thing in the morning, your day flows. You're not rushing, you're ahead of the game. You've woken up, you've selected the version of you that you want to be, the state, the frequency that you wish to embody. And ultimately, what happens is you start doing the things that you're going to say. And then you build conviction and confidence. Then you start programming the thoughts and beliefs that you have. You start building a high level of positive frequency, high frequency emotions within your life, which support your beliefs. You start focusing on things that are going to serve you instead of focusing on failure, complaining, this thing, that thing. You start focusing on all the positives in your life. So ultimately what it is, it's a component, it is a mixture, it is a formula of a multiple amount of things. Your beliefs, which ultimately is how you see life. So your perceptions, your emotions, try and only cultivate a sense of positive emotions within your life. Try and only fixate on things that are going to help you. If you want to succeed, fixate on success. Don't fixate on failure. Don't fixate on being broke. Don't fixate on the lack thereof. Fixate only on abundance. Fixate on clarity. Fixate on your mission, right? And the last one is, what do I do? Focus, emotions, belief, conviction. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. But I hope you guys found this video valuable. Let me know. I want honest opinions in the chat. This kind of video, raw vibes or pre-written, or maybe even short form. I don't know. Let me know. But yeah, like I said earlier, if you guys find that you're stuck within your life, within your business, within your career, and you're an ambitious individual, you have goals that you want to hit, for some reason you keep getting in your way, you keep self-sabotaging, reach out to me in DMs. For the next couple of weeks, I'm actually going to be doing free one-on-one clarity calls. I know, pretty cool. But yeah, if you want to get a part of that while it's still early, then feel free to reach out to me and I'll get back to you. But like always, I'll see you in the next one.